She sent me a photo with another man, captioned, leveled up. That's how it all started. One photo, one smug smile, one short caption that burned through everything I thought I knew about love. I didn't reply, didn't scream, didn't even ask why. I just stared at it, a mixture of disbelief and calm fury swirling in my chest. Then, without thinking twice, I forwarded the photo to her parents and to the resorts we had booked for our wedding in Bali. I didn't even add a message. The image spoke loudly enough. My name's Ethan Nguyen, 29 years old, fragrance designer based in Singapore. I build scents for luxury brands, quiet, patient work that demands precision. My fiancée, Leela Tran, 26, was a social media manager for a perfume influencer named Adrian Cole. She always smelled like amber and jasmine, always knew how to make the room notice her. We'd been together for 2.5 years, engaged for 7 months. Our wedding was scheduled for late December, under golden lanterns and sea breeze. Every detail paid for, every dream mapped out. But somewhere along the way, Leela began to drift. It started small, the late-night shoots, the constant notifications, her habit of checking how many likes her posts got before answering my questions. "It's just work, Ethan," she'd say, laughing softly, brushing off my unease. I believed her. I wanted to. After all, her world revolved around aesthetics and engagement metrics. Maybe that's how love worked in her universe, measured by views, not by vows. Then Adrian appeared, a model with hundreds of thousands of followers, the face of an emerging fragrance brand. Lila was assigned as his media strategist. "It's a huge opportunity," she told me, her eyes bright with excitement. "He's about to launch a new scent line, and I'll be handling the campaign personally." I smiled, pretending to share her enthusiasm. Inside, something quietly twisted. I'd worked with enough people in the perfume industry to know the kind of intimacy that forms between creators. Late nights, shared aesthetics, blurred lines. The first real sign came 2 weeks later. She started dressing differently, bolder colors, sharper silhouettes, like she was crafting herself into a version of someone else. When I asked, she laughed it off. "It's branding. His audience expects confidence." I wanted to say I missed the quiet Leela who used to fall asleep on my shoulder while I tested new scents, but the words stuck. I told myself it was harmless, that she was just chasing ambition, not attention, until that Friday night. She said she'd be working late again. Photo shoot, content planning, the usual excuses. "Don't wait up," she texted. "We'll be up past midnight. Big launch on Monday." I told her to be safe. She didn't reply. She didn't come home either. The next morning, she messaged, "Crushed at Mia's place. We worked too late. I'll be back this afternoon." But something felt synthetic, like a scent mixed too perfectly to be natural. So I called Mia. Her voice trembled when she said, "Ethan, I haven't seen Leela in weeks." That's when my stomach dropped. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I waited, watched, listened. And then, hours later, came the notification that detonated my world. Lila had posted a story. A photo of her and Adrian at a candlelit rooftop bar, glasses raised, faces close enough to blur into one. The caption, "Leveled up." She tagged me in it, made sure I'd see it. My hands went cold. My heart didn't race. It just stilled, like my body was conserving energy for the pain it knew was coming. I saved the post, took screenshots, even recorded it. Evidence, proof of how love can evaporate into pixels. My friend Ryan, who was with me, noticed the silence. "Dude, you good?" I showed him the photo. He whistled low. "Man, that's brutal. What are you gonna do?" What was I going to do? Beg her to explain how cheating became content strategy? No, not this time, so I made calls. First to my lawyer friend Tuan, asking about wedding contract clauses. Then to the resort, to cancel our December booking. "There's been a situation," I told the manager, my voice steadier than I felt. "I'm sending documentation." The screenshot arrived in her inbox seconds later. Within an hour, my phone began to vibrate non-stop. Messages from her parents, her sister, even Adrian's PR team. But I didn't respond. I spent the rest of the day sitting by the window, watching the city lights blink against the dark, realizing each tiny glow was a reminder. Love isn't supposed to flicker that easily that night. For the first time in months, I slept without checking my phone. And when I woke up, I felt something strange. Not peace, not rage, but an empty clarity. Like the scent of something beautiful that had finally, mercifully, faded away. Sunday morning, the messages turned into calls. Her family, her friends, even one from Adrian's marketing agency. I ignored every single one. Around noon, my phone lit up again. Leela. I stared at her name on the screen for a long time before answering. "What the hell did you do, Ethan?" Her voice was shaking, half fury, half fear. "I'm not sure what you mean," I said, my tone level. "You mean the photo you posted? Or the fact that your parents now know what leveled up meant? You sent that to my parents. Are you insane?" It was a joke. A campaign. A campaign that announced to the world you'd replaced me. I paused, letting the silence stretch. "Seems like your marketing strategy worked." She went quiet. For a moment, I heard nothing but the faint hum of the city through the phone. Then, softly, "Ethan, please. It's not what it looked like. Adrian thought it would create engagement. It wasn't real." I almost laughed. "So, you lied to me about where you were, spent the night with your client, and posted a fake breakup to boost engagement. That's your idea of not real." "It wasn't like that," she whispered. I fell asleep on his couch after editing content. He said a story like that would go viral, that it would make both of us look good. "I didn't think." "That's exactly the problem, Lila," I interrupted. "You didn't think. You just acted. Like our relationship was another algorithm to manipulate." I hung up before she could reply. My hands trembled a little, but it wasn't anger, it was relief. The kind that comes when the truth finally stops pretending to be something else. That afternoon, calls from vendors began to pour in. The resort manager, kind and professional, offered partial refunds. "Given the evidence, Mr. Nguyen," she said gently, "we can classify this as a breach of good faith by the other party. You'll receive 70% back." I thanked her, my voice hollow. The florist, the photographer, even the caterer all followed. Some refused full refunds, but many quietly admitted they'd seen the post. One even said, "If my fiancé did that, I'd cancel too." By sunset, my inbox was full of confirmations. My future, the one I had so carefully arranged, was being dismantled. One refund at a time. That evening, someone knocked on my door. I didn't need to look to know who it was. "Ethan, please," she called from the hallway. "We need to talk." I opened the door, and there she was, eyes red, face pale, wearing one of my old hoodies. For a fleeting second, I remembered how small she looked when she used to curl up beside me. Then I remembered the photo. The caption, "The lie, talk," I said simply. She stepped inside hesitantly. "It was never meant to hurt you. I thought you'd understand it was just work." I finished for her. "I keep hearing that word from you like it's an excuse for everything. It is work. You know what the social media world is like. Perception is everything. Adrian wanted to make it look like we were more than colleagues, to sell the idea of chemistry. Chemistry." I repeated, a bitter laugh escaping before I could stop it. "So, what was I then?" "The control group." She flinched. "Don't say it like that." "Then how should I say it, Lila? You chose to play pretend with another man. You let the world believe you'd found someone better, and you tagged me so I'd see it. That wasn't an accident. That was deliberate." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I was stupid, okay? I got caught up in the campaign. I didn't think about what it would look like. I didn't mean to lose you over this, but you did," I said quietly. "You already did." She took a step closer. "I'll fix it. I'll delete the post, end the contract, tell everyone it was fake. It doesn't matter anymore." I cut her off. "You don't unboil tea, Lila. You don't unsee betrayal. You just decide whether you'll keep sipping it." Her face crumpled. She begged, cried, tried to hold my hands, but I stayed still. The scent of her perfume, the familiar blend of sandalwood and citrus I had once mixed for her, filled the room. It should have comforted me. Instead, it made me nauseous. It was like smelling a memory that had gone sour. When she finally realized I wasn't giving in, she whispered, "You're really ending us over a post." I looked at her, exhausted. "No, Lila. I'm ending us over what that post revealed." She left in tears. The door clicked shut behind her like the final note of a sad song. That night, I sat alone at my desk, staring at the contracts, the empty glass beside me, and the last message she'd ever sent. "Please, don't give up on us." But I already had, not out of hate, but because something inside me had quietly stopped believing that love and deception could coexist. The days that followed felt strangely quiet, like the city had turned down its volume just for me. No more shared playlists echoing from our kitchen. No soft laughter from the other room as she edited videos. No perfume lingering on my shirts. Just silence, heavy, absolute silence. By Monday morning, I forced myself to take action. I filed every cancellation, every refund request, every document I could find. The apartment lease was next. Both our names were on it. I emailed the landlord, explaining that I'd be moving out. "Understood," he replied curtly. "You'll still be responsible for your half until a replacement tenant is found." That was fine. I was used to responsibility. I just wasn't used to carrying it alone. Around noon, my phone rang again. Lila's sister, Amelia, this time. I hesitated, but answered. "Ethan, please hear me out," she said softly. "She's been a mess since Saturday. She barely eats, barely sleeps." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said quietly. "But she made her choices. It wasn't what it looked like. You know how social media works. It's all smoke and mirrors." Adrian pushed her into it. I sighed. "Amelia, your sister isn't naive. She's a professional. She knows what messages her posts send. She tagged me in that story. She wanted me to see it. She regrets it, Amelia insisted. She keeps saying she lost everything for a stupid joke. Then maybe she'll think twice next time before turning love into marketing. There was a long pause on the other end, followed by a quiet sniffle. She loves you, Ethan. She said she still wants to marry you. I looked out the window at the skyline bathed in late morning sunlight. She wanted to marry me, I corrected. Now she wants forgiveness. I hung up before she could respond. Later that afternoon, I met with Ryan and Tuon at a small cafe near Clark Quay. They'd been my anchor through all this, bro. I saw that post, Ryan said, shaking his head. She really captioned it leveled up. That's brutal. Tuon sipped his coffee, expression unreadable. You handled it cleanly, though. No screaming, no public drama. That's rare. Didn't feel clean, I admitted. Felt surgical. Ryan chuckled. Sometimes surgery saves your life. We sat there for hours, just talking, not about her, but about everything else. Work, travel, plans. For the first time in weeks, I laughed. Really laughed. It felt strange, like stretching a muscle I'd forgotten existed. That night, I returned to the apartment to pack. The walls still carried traces of us, framed photos, her art supplies, little notes I'd once left in her books. Each object was a small ghost. I boxed them up one by one, labeling each carton neatly, as though organization could somehow dull the ache. Halfway through, I found the first bottle of perfume I'd ever made for her, Lune d'Or, a soft blend of amber, vanilla, and bergamot. The bottle was nearly empty. I uncapped it and took one last whiff. For a moment, I saw her again, barefoot, smiling, saying, "You always know how to bottle warmth." Then the memory dissolved, leaving only scent and silence. I threw the bottle away. By Wednesday, Robert, her father, called. His voice was calm but heavy. "Ethan, I spoke with Leela," he said. She admitted she handled things poorly, but she swears nothing physical happened. I rubbed my temples. "Robert, with respect, that's irrelevant. Emotional betrayal is still betrayal. She's willing to quit her job, to cut ties with that man entirely. Doesn't that count for something?" "It would have," I said quietly, before she broadcasted to the world that she'd outgrown me. "You're letting pride destroy your future," he warned. "No," I replied. "I'm letting reality guide it." He didn't argue after that evening. I went for a long walk along the Singapore River. The air was thick with the scent of rain and the faint sweetness of street food. Couples strolled past me, laughing softly, and for the first time, I didn't feel envy, just distance. Like I was watching life through glass. When I got home, I opened my laptop and drafted one last email, short. Final, polite subject. Apartment transfer leave. I've arranged for the lease to be transferred to your name starting next month. All remaining belongings are in the storage room. Keys are on the table. Take care. EI didn't expect a reply, and none came. Later that night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the city lights flickering faintly through the curtains. My mind kept looping one thought. She chose applause over honesty, and somewhere between midnight and morning, I realized something profound, that closure isn't a single moment or a message. It's the quiet acceptance that the person you loved no longer exists in the version you knew. By the next week, I had already moved out. My new apartment was smaller, quieter, and smelled faintly of cedar from the wooden floors. No framed photos, No half-empty bottles of her perfume, just space. It was the first time in months that I could breathe without feeling like the air was recycled through memory. I started a new routine, waking early, running along the marina, then spending the rest of the day buried in work. My job at the fragrance house had been generous enough to give me time off, but I needed the rhythm. There was comfort in precision layering notes, balancing scent profiles, calculating how each molecule would unfold in the air. It reminded me that even in chaos, harmony could still be crafted. Therapy began on Thursday. My therapist, Dr. Lim, was soft-spoken and observant. She listened more than she talked. I told her everything, how I'd found the post, the calls, the confrontation, the silence after. When I finished, she nodded slowly. "You handled it with control," she said. "Most people in your situation would have exploded." I didn't feel in control, I admitted. I felt hollow. "That's not weakness," she said. "That's clarity. You didn't react to her chaos. You let her reveal herself." Her words stayed with me. Let her reveal herself. Maybe that's what love really is. Not about fixing someone, but watching long enough to see who they truly are when they think you're not watching. A few days later, I ran into Ryan again. He was with his girlfriend at a cafe downtown. "You look better," he said. "Less haunted. I'm getting there," I replied. He grinned. "So, what's next? You gonna start dating again?" I laughed softly. Dating. I'm still trying to remember how to trust. "Start with trusting yourself," he said. "You already made the hardest decision. You left with dignity." That night, I thought about his words while sitting by the window with a glass of wine. I realized how many times I'd confused patience for loyalty, how often I'd stayed silent, hoping she'd notice my hurt instead of speaking it. Love, when quiet, can turn into self-erasure. Then came the message. From Leela, the first in weeks. "I saw you deleted our photos." I deserved that, I guess. "I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. I really thought I was doing my job right. I didn't realize I was losing myself in the process. Or losing you." I read it twice. It wasn't angry, wasn't manipulative. It sounded broken. For a moment, I almost replied. Then I remembered the photo, the caption, the choice, the silence after. I closed the message and deleted it. Because closure doesn't come from their apology. It comes from your decision that you don't need one anymore. The next morning, I created a new fragrance formula. I called it Vérité, the French word for truth. The base was cedarwood and musk, with soft hints of bergamot and black tea. It wasn't romantic. It was grounding, real. When I smelled it, it didn't remind me of her. It reminded me of resilience. Weeks passed. I began sleeping through the night again. My laughter no longer sounded like an echo of pain. And for the first time, I found beauty in solitude. I walked slower. I noticed details, how the city smelled different after rain, how sunlight hit the glass towers at dusk. I began to live deliberately, not reactively. Then one afternoon, I received an email from Adrian Cole's PR team. It wasn't directed at me personally, but it made its way through industry circles. He was facing backlash for staging fake relationship content with employees. Leela's name wasn't mentioned, but I knew. And strangely, I didn't feel vindicated. Just tired. Because sometimes karma doesn't satisfy, just reminds you that truth eventually surfaces. That night, I stood on my balcony overlooking the glittering skyline. For the first time, I didn't feel like the world had taken something from me. I felt like it had cleared space for peace, for purpose, for something honest. And in that stillness, I realized that maybe love isn't about finding someone who completes your story. It's about becoming whole enough to write your own. Months passed, and life began to move again quietly, gently. My days filled with small rituals, watering the plants every morning, journaling before bed, brewing tea instead of coffee. Little acts of peace that once felt insignificant but now felt sacred. Then one morning, as I was walking to work, I passed by a new perfume boutique that had just opened downtown. Through the glass window, I saw a woman arranging bottles, her hair tied up in a messy bun, her hands moving with care. She looked up for a second, and our eyes met. She smiled, warm, polite, fleeting. But something about that moment lingered longer than it should have. I didn't walk in, not yet. I just smiled back and kept walking. At work, my supervisor mentioned an upcoming fragrance exhibition in the City Ann event where perfumers, designers, and scent houses would showcase their creations. "We want to feature Vérité," he said. "It's been getting attention." Hearing that name again, Vérité filled me with something bittersweet. That scent had been born from heartbreak, but now it was earning recognition. Maybe pain, when processed right, can become art. The exhibition arrived faster than I expected. The venue was a large glass hall, filled with warm light and the quiet hum of conversation. Each booth carried stories told through scent: floral, woody, musky, citrusy, tiny worlds bottled up in crystal. As I was setting up our display, I caught a familiar voice behind me. Soft, careful, "Excuse me. Are you the creator of Vérité?" I turned around. It was her, the woman from the boutique window. She introduced herself, Clara, a small perfumery owner who'd just launched her brand. "I tried your scent last week," she said. It felt honest, like someone turned a heartbreak into peace. I smiled faintly. "That's pretty much what happened." She tilted her head. "Then maybe that's what art really is, something broken, rearranged beautifully." We spent the rest of the afternoon talking not about love, not about pain, but about the craft. Notes, accords, memories tied to smell. It felt effortless, like conversation with someone who spoke the same unspoken language. Before she left, she said, "If you ever want to collaborate, my shop's just a few blocks from here." I nodded. "Maybe I will." That night, walking home, I realized something had shifted. The city lights didn't feel cold anymore. They shimmered, like tiny promises waiting to unfold. Weeks later, I visited Clara's boutique. The bell chimed softly when I opened the door, releasing a wave of gentle fragrance: lavender, sandalwood, maybe a hint of vanilla. She looked up, smiled like she'd been expecting me. "I brought something," I said, handing her a small vial. "What is it?" "It's a new blend. I called it Rebirth." She uncapped it, inhaled, and closed her eyes for a moment. "It smells like morning," she whispered, "like letting go." And in that instant, I realized something profound. Healing doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly on an ordinary day, in a soft smile, in a new scent that no longer reminds you of what was lost, but of what's beginning. That was the day I finally stopped surviving the story and started writing a new one.